Paid news. Disclaimer: this training material is for use in training of election officials. It should not be referred as guideline of ECI. In case of any variance in this training material, the Commission guidelines, rules, laws shall prevail. Learning outcomes. At the end of the session, the participants will be able to define paid news and how to identify paid news. Know the MCMC committee which deals with the paid news. Cite the guidelines issued by the Commission on paid news. They will be able to summarize the PCI guidelines on paid news. Underline the procedure of identification of paid news. They will also be able to understand the various reporting formats on paid news. So the definition of paid news is any news or analysis appearing in any media, that is print or electronic media, for a price in cash or kind as consideration. The MCMC committee shall monitor paid news instances in media. The differences between the advertisement and news are: advertisement have a disclaimer, news don't have. Advertisement don't carry a credit line, but our news carries. Advertisements are in different forms. News are in typeface fonts. Advertisements are to promote something. News is to inform the readers. Why the Commission is concerned about the paid news? Because serious electoral malpractices and no free and fair election will be there. It puts undue influence on the voters, misleads the public, encourages the role of money power. It disturbs the level playing field in elections. The PCI guideline on the paid news says print media to follow the norms of the Journalistic Code 2022 on paid news. While reporting on the actual campaign, a newspaper may not leave out any important point raised by a candidate. Newspapers are not expected to indulge in unhealthy election campaigns, exaggerated reports about any candidate or party, or incident during the elections. Projecting a candidate's success in election who is yet to file a nomination is suggestive of paid news. Column of news items which largely indicate names of the voters on caste basis and supporters of the candidates of particular political party is a suggestive paid news. Political news published in competing newspaper with similar content strongly suggests the reports as to be the paid news. Two newspapers publishing same news item verbatim during the election day is not accidental, and it is evident that such news item have been published for considerations. Manner of presentation of a news item, photograph, that too in favor of a particular party or candidate, as also the appeal for voting in favor of a particular party is suggestive case of paid news. News reports on campaign meeting and states enthusiasm because film stars were present cannot be termed as paid news. An attempt to influence the voters by projecting the contesting candidate by all virtues during the election is paid news. A news item giving negative aspect of a candidate and at the same time the positive aspect of the candidate of the other political party without any basis clearly shows it as a paid news. The same or similar type of news articles or reporting appearing in more than one newspaper. News item stating that one candidate is getting the support of each and every section of the society, utilizing him, and that he would win the elections. So the example of suggestive paid news cases is shown on the screen. Small events involving a candidate being given exaggerated or repeated coverage and for the opponent's news are not covered at all. On the same page of the specific newspaper or the articles praising competing candidates claiming that both are likely to win the same elections. Newspaper publishing a banner headline stating that a party or the candidate is ready to create history in the state or the constituency, but not carrying any news item related to this headline. News item saying that the good work done by the party or the candidate had marginalized the electoral prospects of the other party of the candidate in the state, with which and every section of the news item in favor of the party or the candidate. Identical article with photographs and headlines appear in competing publications carrying the lines by the different authors around the same time. News items are in fixed columns. Paid news are not in fixed columns. Generally, they have a length of 125 to 150 words with a double column photo. If paid news is published, then multiple font types and multiple drop case style will be noticed within the same page of a single newspaper. Check on paid news. Self-regulation by media and political functionaries. Strict use of existing mechanism to curb the menace in the electoral field. Sensitize people and stakeholders on the subject. When to keep an eye on paid news? From the date of filing of nomination by the candidate. Section 77 and 123(6) of RP Act 1951 deals directly or indirectly with the paid news. The practice of paid news has to be seen as an attempt to circumvent the provisions of Section 77 and 123(6) of RP Act 1951, which prescribe the accounting and sealing of the election expenses and make exceeding such prescribed limits a corrupt practice in elections. Section 77 says, account of election expenses and maximum thereof. The Section 123(6) of RP Act 1951 is about corrupt practices. It says, the incurring or authorizing of expenditure in contravention of Section 77. Is paid news an offence? Paid news case is not an electoral offence and no legal action is mandated in the RP Act 1951. Mechanism developed by the Commission to curb paid news. MCMC at the district level and state level to monitor media for paid news. Scrutinization of all newspapers and electronic media by the MCMC committee. If there is a case of paid news, then the notional expenditure will be included in the candidate's account based on the DIP or DAVP rates, irrespective of whether the candidate actually has paid or not paid any amount to the channel or the newspaper. So the committee at the district level which deals with the paid news cases is headed by the DO and its members are ARO, an official of Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, independent citizen or journalist, social media expert, DPRO or DIO. The committee will examine the complaints or the issues of paid news and take action as per ECI guideline. The committee may take up suo motu cases and shall direct the concerned returning officer to issue notice to the candidates. It scans all media, that is print media, electronic media, cable ad network, etc. In the suspected cases of paid news, intimate the returning officer concerned to send a notice to the candidate concerned. It shall submit a daily report to the accounting team with a copy to the returning officer and expenditure observer in respect of each candidate in the prescribed format. The state level committee which deals with the paid news is headed by the CEO. Its members are the observer appointed by the Commission, officer of Indian Information Services, independent citizen or journalist, additional or joint CEO, social media expert, and intermediary expert to be co-opted by the committee. Its functions are: examine all the cases of paid news on appeal against the decision of district level MCMC. It may take suo motu in which it directs the concerned returning officer to issue notice to the candidate. The state level MCMC shall dispose of the case within 96 hours of the receipt of appeal and convey the decision to the candidate with a copy to the district level MCMC. On receiving intimation from MCMC, the returning officer concerned shall send a notice to the candidate concerned, stating the amount of actual expenditure incurred in it and explain why it should not be included in his or her election expenditure. The candidate will be told that, as an option, the notional expenditure will be calculated on the basis of the rate card of DPIR or DAVP. A copy of the show cause notice shall also be sent to the expenditure observer. The candidate will be required to compulsory reply within 48 hours. After hearing the side of the candidate, the final decision will be taken by the MCMC committee. In the case the candidate does not reply within the stipulated period, ex-party action will be taken against him. Suo motu investigation. The news published and broadcast on various media will be scanned and examined by the MCMC committee. The final decision will be taken by the committee whether the news can be kept in the category of paid news broadcast or not. If the news is kept in the category of the suspected paid news, the MCMC committee will intimate the returning officer concerned. After receiving the intimation from the MCMC committee, the returning officer concerned will send a notice to the candidate concerned and get his reply as per the rules mentioned. The MCMC committee will take the final decision in the matter. Timeline. Regarding suspected paid news cases, MCMC committee will refer the matter to RO. On reference from MCMC committee, returning officer will serve notice to the candidate within 96 hours of publication, broadcast, telecast, receipt of complaint to explain or disclose the expenditure incurred for publishing the news or similar matter. MCMC committee decide on the reply expeditiously and convey to the candidate or party its final decision. If no reply is received from the candidate within 48 hours of the serving of notice, the decision of MCMC committee will be final. Appeal. If decision of district level MCMC is not acceptable to the candidate, he or she can appeal to the state level committee within 48 hours. State level committee will take the decision within 96 hours and convey the decision to the candidate and district level committee. If the decision of the state level MCMC is not acceptable to the candidate, he or she can appeal to the commission within 48 hours. The entire process shall orderly be completed within election period. The decision of the commission shall be final. Where suspected cases of paid news are decided as a paid news, the actual or notional expenditure shall be treated as a part of the election expenses with due intimation to the candidate or his or her agent. Convey the decision to the PCI or NBSA for further action against the media concerned. Action against the media. MCMC not to issue notice to the media houses. They will inform the commission through CEO. Commission will decide the cases of paid news on appeal. The commission will forward all the decided cases at every level to the PCI or NBSA. PCI and NBSA will take the necessary action in the matter. So the decided cases of the paid news shall be sent to the CEO. CEO will send it to the ECI. The commission will send a print or media complaint to PCI or NBSA. Confirmed cases. Action to be taken. Name of the candidate and not the media house shall be published on the CEO's website in appropriate manner. Name of the print and electronic media with all the details of the paid news item shall be forwarded to Press Council of India and NBSA by the Commission after obtaining it from the CEO concerned. The reporting format of suspected paid news cases or the confirmed paid news cases is shown on the screen. Final report of paid news cases is shown on the screen. In this educational video, we have learned about the paid news. If you have any doubt or want any clarification, then you can contact through the mail as shown on the screen. For other videos or rules and regulations, you can visit the web address as shown. Thank you.